All right, we'll call the August 26th meeting to order. We were waiting for Mr. Underwood, but I believe he's not going to make it. He has a business trip planned, so he's going to be out of town today. I'm going to ask Mr. Akers if he would deliver the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. Our loving and wonderful Heavenly Father, as we gather in this auditorium this evening, we ask for your blessings, we ask for your understanding, we ask for your wisdom, that we may make the decisions that are beneficial to the people of this county. Lord, we thank you for blessing each of us, and we thank you for blessing this county in the way that you have. Providing for us, Lord, we thank you. We just pray that you continue to guide and direct us, and continue to be with us and undergird us with your love. Lord, it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now if you'll join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Do we have any amendments to the agenda, Mr. Cully?
No, sir. Just one point of clarification. We will only have a report from the Caroline County YMCA Board of Directors. The foundation will not be making a report tonight.
Right. And Ms. Moyer called me earlier and said that was the case, and we'll move on. Mr. Taylor, opening board comments.
I just have one, Mr. Chairman. The Education Steering Committee for VACO did meet on Friday, I believe the 15th. And basically what we're doing is gathering information as far as the agenda for the VACO board meeting. The steering committee, as you know, reports to the General Assembly what education concerns are and those things that VACO is supporting. So I would just say if there are special concerns that board members have involving education, if there are specific bills, if you let me know, I will certainly make sure that we try to get whatever we need to get included in that presentation for VACO. That's all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Black?
Yeah, I have a couple. First of all, later on in the meeting, we're going to be talking about the printing of personal property taxes, a list of personal property taxes. I think that we need to start to look and talk to Mr. Fincham about a county policy also to put in place where when people come to us for special exceptions and so forth, that we need to make sure that taxes, that needs to be a requirement, that taxes need to be paid in full to company and individual before that we make any special exceptions or they're dealing with us in a business sense. The second thing, as a teacher myself, I want to, it's beginning of the school year, so I'd like to wish all the students and teachers here in Caroline a great start to the school year. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Akers?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to express, and I trust we would express it as a board, our condolences to the Marsha Hayes family. Marsha was quite involved in the Ladysmith Rescue Squad. In fact, she was the first female president of the squad. She was involved in the Caroline County Fair, which she was the treasurer of, and has been quite instrumental and supportive of Caroline County events. And she was a teacher in the Caroline County school system for a number of years. And she passed away last week, and we'd certainly like to express our condolences to the family.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Akers. I saw that yesterday on the Rescue Squad sign.
Right.
So, okay. Mr. Seeley?
Mr. Chairman, in response, last board meeting, we actually looked at a rural resort amendment to the county ordinances, and there was a statement made that it didn't look or actually smell right that we were actually putting a mile buffer around AP Hill. And I would like to quote 15.2-2211 of Virginia Code that says the Planning Commission of any locality shall consult with the installation commander of any military installation that will be affected by potential development within the locality as to responsibly respect the military's installation against any adverse effects that may be caused by any development. Further in the code, 15.2-2283, purpose of a zoning ordinance, Section 11 of that is to provide reasonable protection against encroachment upon military bases, military installations, military airports, and their adjacent safety areas, excluding armories operated by the Virginia National Guard. So such ordinances may be in a reasonable manner. And I'd just like to have that added as to why the 1 mile buffer was put in around Fort A.P. Hill for rural resorts.
Thank you, Mr. Seeley. Would you like to have that passed to Mrs. Hall so she can include it?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I have just a couple, one regarding the county and customer service. We have recently hired a receptionist, part-time right now, but that may expand to full-time, and part of that is to provide customer service to folks who call into the county, making it better. Mr. Cully is working with Mrs. Hall to work our phone tree a little better, and we are also doing our website contract, or we've got an RFP out for our website. All those are geared to make the customer service experience a lot better for citizens when they have to interface with the county. So we're trying to do that. And the other one I have is the Milford Revitalization Project. I want to thank Mr. Whiteman, who's been working with that quite a bit. He's kept me abreast on all the updates. And those of you who had a chance to go down to the Milford area noticed that there are 2 less eyesore buildings, and we have 2 more on the agenda to make sure they are either cleaned up or torn down. We're not going to have, or at least I'm not going to have Milford look like a blighted city. So we're trying to repair those, and we're going to do the same thing in the rest of the county. And we do have some of those later in the agenda with Mr. Fincham. So that's it, and we'll move right on quickly because we've got quite a few presentations. We're going to recognize Frank Hammond, the radio voice, for Ladysmith Day. We've got a Value City. Are the Value City folks here?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see that far. Okay. All right, and Mrs. Beard is going to give us a presentation on tourism. Then we've got Mrs. D from the library and the YMCA director. Okay, so first, Mr. Hammond. And Mr. Hammond, I know you're in the Ladysmith district, so I'm going to ask Mr. Akers to read your resolution, if you would, please.
Before I do read this resolution, commending Frank for what he's done with Ladysmith Day, I don't want to fail to recognize the committee that Ladysmith Day is run by. But I've always said that any organization, any group, to be successful, they need a strong leader. And Frank has proven to be a strong leader in Ladysmith Day, and I want to thank Evan and Amy and Jim and Frank, and there have been others on that committee as well, but you're the 4 I see here today. I want to thank you for what you've done with Ladysmith Day. You have come a long way with it. It is now very successful, and it is through the efforts of Frank and the other members of the committee. A resolution of appreciation for Frank Hammond for his leadership of the Ladysmith Day Festival. Whereas the 6th annual Ladysmith Day Festival took place on May 3rd, 2014 in Caroline County, and whereas the event was highly successful, drawing a large crowd that enjoyed a variety of events and vendors on a beautiful day, and whereas Ladysmith Day has continued to build on its success each year and has become a signature spring event in the Ladysmith community and surrounding areas. And whereas the event has thrived under the leadership of Mr. Frank Hammond, who serves as president of the board of directors and chairman of the festival committee. And whereas Mr. Hammond's leadership has enabled the committee to work together as a cohesive group that effectively handles all aspects of preparations for the event. And whereas in addition to his leadership role, Mr. Hammond was very active in soliciting vendors to take part in the festival, securing sponsors to keep costs as low as possible, and obtaining publicity for the event through his many media contacts. Now therefore be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby expresses its appreciation to Mr. Frank Hammond for his hard work and leadership in organizing the 6th Annual Leadership Day and for his valuable contributions on behalf of the citizens of Caroline County. Adopted this 26th day of August 2014. Clerk of the Board signing, Mr. Charles Cully, and the Chairman, Mr. Floyd Thomas. Frank, if you would come forward and
And
get
the
some
rest of the
pictures.
committee?
Could the other three committee members come up as well that's here? Or if the others, if you'll come up front as well, up on stage, and get some pictures? Let's take a picture of Frank, Mr. Chairman.
I want to stand there with Frank. He's got a radio voice. We're going to do that next month. Caroline's from? Mexico City, exactly. We sure are. All right. That's always.
Now, there we go. All right, that's small right here. Let me get one more or a couple, kind of beat the blank.
Get the rest again. And you can do one with all of them. Go ahead, Mark. That's good. Smile.
Thank you. You have a
He's Mike Shy.
Oh, you don't want to say
Oh,
anything with your good
Hey,
radio
I've
voice?
never seen Frank turn down.
Is that all?
First off, you can't run this thing without the help that you just saw, some of the committee members up here that work on this. And basically, when we end an event, we start working on next year's 2 weeks later. But mainly I want to thank them and many businesses that are in the Caroline County area that sponsor us and make this thing go, and it's made it thrive for the last 6 years, working on May 2nd for 2015. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
Appreciate you. Let's see, who's next?
We might as well stay there. Okay, we've got another one, and this one is for the Value City Furniture. And since that happens to be in the Mattapanai district that I represent, I'm going to do this one. It's a resolution congratulating American Signature Incorporated, Value City Furniture, for 15 successful years of operation in Caroline County, Virginia. Whereas 15 years ago this month, American Signature Incorporated / Value City opened a 325,000 square foot distribution center in Caroline, and whereas within this county facility, $20 million of inventory is entrusted, and whereas as of the summer of 2014, a consolidation of distribution operations has resulted in the Carmel Church facility becoming the largest distribution center for American Signature, and whereas the distribution center proudly employs 147 associates working 4 shifts, Sunday through Friday, to provide inventory to 27 stores in the Mid-Atlantic region. And whereas the majority of these associates are Caroline County residents, and whereas American Signature has been a model of corporate responsibility and a partner with Caroline County, now therefore be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby recognizes American Signature Incorporated, Value City Furniture, as an outstanding corporate citizen and congratulates the company on its successful 15 years of operation in Caroline County, adopted the 26th day of August, 2014. So if the Value City folks would come forward, please, we'd like to do the same thing for you. You can all come on. Don't be shy. Gary? We'll make it even. big party's tomorrow?
Big parties tomorrow.
The big party's tomorrow. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Pleasure. Okay. We're going to stand back here and do a couple of photos. I've asked Gary, the Economic Development Director, to stand in the middle. Now, he's, of course, going to say tilted down. Good. I just didn't want to. Okay. Now, would you folks like to say something?
Yeah.
You're on.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Caroline County for being a good partner with us and for helping us be successful. Its associates, your partnership has been great for us, and the whole company extends thanks to you.
Sure? We'll reduce your taxes, did you say? And the rest of the board would like to say congratulations.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, wait.
All right. Have a good one.
You ready to roll? Okay, we can bring our chairs back. They're going to take their pictures outside, as you suggested. Thank you, sir. Okay, we are going to do the next presentation. I'm switching the order. Kathy, you'll be next, and remind me. We've asked Mrs. D if she would come and present the library. Is it Olson or Owlson? Owlson? See, I can read. She's got the Employee Award winner. Mrs. D?
Thank you. First, I would just like to thank you for letting me have this time. As always, I am always honored when you give me time in front of the board to present what we're doing, because you as the board are one of our most important stakeholders. As you noticed in our annual report that last time, you are the major cog in the cycle of support. We could not do what we do without you, and for that I thank you. And I thought that it would be more important also for you to put a face to the library, that we're just, not just that single line in the budget that you look at once a year. So, with that said, I would like to introduce you to a program that I instituted that has never been done before. So, this is the Owlson. This is an annual employee incentive award, which comes from 4 quarterly nominations from the entire system done by the director or managers, and then the winner is chosen by the library board. So, I have the winner of the Owlson, but what they do not know is every single one of them is going to be awarded with something today. So that's why I would like to introduce all our nominees, talk to you about all of them. They have come, all of them, and have brought their family and support, so you can see how wide-reaching that the library really is. So let's get started.
It's going to be like the Emmys.
Wait, what's that?
It's going to be like the Emmys. You need a red carpet.
Oh, you know what? I didn't have time. But that's okay.
Red chair event.
Okay, so we're going by alphabetical order of last name. And the first one is Alicia Coleman. She handles the daily operations of the Port Royal branch. She quadrupled circulation numbers, visibility, and program attendance with her Latchkey Crafts for Kids and Teen program. Port Royal went from non-existent showings to being the highest attended system-wide for young people's craft programs. Their adult attendance for the Get Crafty program also consistently equals or beats attendance and donation of craft materials for all the branches. Alicia goes out of her way to bring people the books and services they need, often donating materials for her kids' programs out of her own personal craft supplies. She also fills in at the Bowling Green and Ladysmith branch as well. So I would like to introduce Alicia to you. If she is not, yes, she is. She is poised and ready.
Come on
Alicia,
down.
come on down. I would like to present your. Okay, now, moving on, I would like to introduce you to Erin Reams. Erin is the resident artist and author at the Dawn Branch. Erin was one of the artists that designed the new bookmobile, as well as creating hand-painted marketing posters promoting reading at every branch. He is currently working on a pencil and ink rendering of each of the 4 libraries, and is working on and completed Disney portraits to decorate the Port Royal branch. He also recently published a book, The Little Mermaid Part 2, based off of Hans Christian Andersen's version. We are in fact having an artist-author reception for him September 6th between 11 and 1 p.m. at the Dawn branch. It's going to be awesome. So, Erin, come on down. All righty. Let's meet Megan Upshaw, bookkeeper, cataloger, and front desk agent. Megan handles all the payroll, accounts receivable, and accounts payable duties for the entire system. She also does most of the processing of the new books for all the branches, and also simultaneously managed to somehow deliver impeccable customer service at the front desk of Bowling Green. So let us meet Megan. Okay, finally, Carolyn, branch manager of the Ladysmith location. Carolyn has the busiest library traffic and largest staff of the system. She is the go-to person to create original programming and regularly offers the highest number of unique individual programs of the system. She has helped make Ladysmith the community center for meetings and other information. Carolyn calmly and professionally handles any situation that comes her way. And to allay the suspense, the library board voted Carolyn the recipient of the Owlson. So let us introduce Carolyn.
Oh, we need a drum roll and all of that?
Okay. So that is everybody, and we thank you. And stop in. We're waiting to see you. We would love to see you at the library. And just as an aside, I would not be able to do anything without your support, their support, and every one of these system department heads and all of their workers too. I deeply appreciate everything they do. They go out of their way, above and beyond, every single day, whether it's changing a light bulb, providing a program, or just being there when I need advice. So thank you, everybody there. Thank you very much.
Mrs. D, before you go,
Yes.
the artist's reception was September 6th?
Yes, it's
Okay.
not Saturday, but it's next Saturday at dawn.
Yeah, it is September already. Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. thank you to all of the library folks. Mrs. Beard, I'm going to ask you to come forward now for a presentation on update on tourism activities.
Well, thank you. Good evening, members of the board and senior staff. Mr. Chairman, thank you for inviting me here this evening. I would like to just provide a capsule, if you will, of what's going on with the tourism division of your Economic Development and Tourism Department. First of all, I'd like to report that our overall visitation is pretty much has been staying steady and with the range of the previous years. Although the weather slowed us somewhat for the month of July, we still were able to produce 1,853 visitors at the Visitor Center in July. It is about 75 less than we saw in 13, but the weather kind of got us this July a little bit wetter kind of July. As far as August is concerned, if we get a nice, dry, hot Labor Day, I certainly think that we will surpass our mid-1,700 typically is what we see in August, and we're right on target. Summer marketing materials, working for the festivals and things like that that have gone on throughout the summer are on track. We were able to combine, save a little bit of money, and showcase our trails, the antique trail, the shopping trail, all those kinds of things in one particular publication. That publication debuted in mid-July, and we were happy with it, and I brought, of course, copies of it. This one was mainly identified for local distribution to be a handout at the Visitor Center and at some of the activities where we participate. I guess another opportunity that we're seeing is that we have a lot of agriculture interests in the county, and certainly our farmers markets this year are just hitting it right out of the park. What's going on with the 639 market, which is on Thursdays, as well as the markets in Bowling Green on Saturdays, and our communities also are now participating with farmers markets, as well as our established farms that invite customers in. So quite a lot of activity going on, particularly on the weekends. I think, quite frankly, the challenge for tourism will continue to be our hotels. And we have had lots of different types of meetings and working with the hotels and the franchisees of those particular groups. The hotels at Exit 104, two of them have recently gone significant renovations to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, both the Days Inn and the Comfort Inn. We currently have another hotel that is working through that particular process, and the City Inns and Studios, a former Quality hotel, is currently undergoing some renovations and working to get through our particular processes, and we're optimistic about them. I think as we approach the State Fair and a lot of activities that are going on at the Meadow Event Park, we have been working now to actually promote the Exit 104 as its own entity. We have reached out to the Meadow Event Park, and they not only provide this information to their vendors that come in, but they also provide it online when they send their contracts out to the vendors. We feel that Exit 104 is a lot stronger exit for the vendors at the State Fair and activities because we have the variety of hotels, we have a laundromat, we have a grocery store. You can actually reach these hotels 3 different ways. And I think that that's sometime our biggest barrier to the vendors at the Meadow Event Park staying in Caroline County. For those vendors coming out of the facility, it's just easier to turn south than try to challenge 95 northbound or Route 1 northbound. So we are working with them to establish additional routes using 652 to come around to the intersection and therefore being able to alleviate potential traffic problems that they see. Plus, we have more food options that are available late in the evening when the Meadow Event Park is closing. We have 24-hour food, several different types of food establishments at the Exit 104. So with those things, we're hoping to see a little bit stronger usage by the vendors at the Meadow Event Park and other types of vendors at our hotels for this ending of our summer season. And of course, we've now completed everything we need to where the Caroline County will be represented at the State Fair. Again, we'll be operating our booth as we typically do and providing all the information about the county for the entire run of the fair. The exciting thing that we would like to leave you with at this particular point are the plans that are taking shape, with your permission, for what's going on in 2015. As most of you have heard by now, certainly Garden Day is April 21st of 2015, excuse me, and Caroline County and the town of Port Royal are very much the centerpiece of that entire thing. The Rappahannock Garden Club out of Fredericksburg has selected Caroline County and Port Royal to be this year's recipient of Garden Day. So we're talking anywhere from about 1,500 to 2,000 visitors will be traveling that route up and down 17, making the left-hand turn into Port Royal, enjoying all the restaurants and seeing all the sights in the museum and all those things going on in Port Royal for the 21st of April. Meetings have already been taking place. We've been in touch with the Garden Club since about May. We've had meetings at the office, including VDOT representation, your planning department, the sheriff's office, very much involved in the entire thing. All of these different components are going to be necessary to ensure a wonderful experience and a speedy delivery of the schedule that the Garden Club will insist on as they tour the sites along 17 and into Port Royal. So a lot of fluffing and buffing going on for that entire route. We certainly want the county to show its very best, and we want to be able to market the county and showcase what's going to be happening. And then wouldn't you know it, 4 days later, it's the 150th commemoration of Booth actually in Port Royal. This is an extremely significant event, not only for Virginia as the ending of the Lincoln story in the Commonwealth, but certainly for the entire 150th sesquicentennial commemoration taking place. This is a story that Caroline does own. Maryland will tell you that it belongs to Maryland, but we believe, of course, that Virginia has a significant role in this whole process. At this point, with your approval, as you look further into your agenda for the resolution for the History Mobile, we certainly do hope to have several offerings taking place during this week. We've got the week bracketed with a lot of garden tour and then ending that weekend with this commemoration. Meetings again with the town of Port Royal, as they are the signature location for a lot of the things that will happening with Booth, as well as with the town of Bowling Green in the former location of the Star Theater, but also the Garrett Farm House site located right there on 301. There are early talks between Fort A.P. Hill, their Cultural Resources Division, VDOT, Park Service, and Corps of Engineers to work out a plan that will allow Caroline County to have great influence on access to the Garrett Farm House site for those 3 days. Now, there are lots of moving targets with this particular federal mandate that Fort A.P. Hill will be reviewing, and there's lots of things that we have to do on our side in order to be able to showcase this particular site. Through Mrs. Coleman's activities, we have already had the opportunity to board a little bus and take the tour on that particular site. We have had Fort A.P. Hill personnel as well as Park Service personnel do kind of a run-through interpretation of what happened. Can't see a lot, but still for that purist Civil War enthusiast to be on the actual location where the Garrett House once stood is certainly very significant. And it's really not ever been open to the public with guided tours before. So we are hoping that all those kinds of things certainly will come into play as we begin that particular process. So in a nutshell, everything coming together as it should. Lots of work, lots of meeting, lots of involvement from Historical Society, museums, art centers, certainly Sheriff's Office, VDOT, as I said, Park Service, Corps of Engineers. As you can imagine, everybody with this activity and the state. Virginia Tourism Corporation is very encouraged by what we're trying to do, as is the 150th sesquicentennial group itself. If we are successful with our application, pending the approval of the resolution this evening, then we would suggest that the History Mobile park for 3 days at the Visitor Center. It would arrive on that Friday, giving us plenty of time to orchestrate school tours to the History Mobile. It was here before, got rained out, and had to move off, and it's taken us a while to get it back. But if we are successful, they would consider the 3-day location at the visitor center. So imagine the History Mobile there, school buses going in and out on Friday, visitor center staff, all of our facilities available for the public that would be in there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then we will be working to package tours that would leave from the visitor center, go to Port Royal and come back, or even go all the way to King George, coming back through Claydale and around through Dogwood and all those things, really kind of reenacting, but anyway, touring mainly by bus, the actual tour that Booth took once he got across the Potomac. So we've got an opportunity to solidify these kinds of tours, and having the History Mobile will be great. Having the limited access to the Garrett House site will be significant. The package of tours, getting Caroline County's name online with these tours, the cost of these tours immediately, there will be, right off the top, funds that will certainly go to the museum in Port Royal, the Bowling Green Art Center, the Sidney E. King Art Center, and all of those activities that take place, with them and the Sidney King paintings. And then as we get to the ending of the 3-day weekend, by then, probably a lot of us, we've had it with the Assassin Story, and we are really looking to have the finale signature event about President Lincoln. So we have been in contact with a couple of different authors. We are looking to have that be the finale event and very commemorative of his work and not so much on what was going on with Booth. The promotional activities, it will be the front page of the visitor guide. Visitor guide will be out in October. We have made some contacts with other promotional and publicity opportunities, social media, of all the, the local newspapers will certainly be involved with it. We do think that this has not only a local scope and a regional scope, but also statewide and a national scope, because this story only happened one place. So with your approvals and consideration, we would like the opportunity to continue and have these meetings and get everything worked out for this particular project, because the goal is to launch in January of 2015. And with that, I'll take some questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Beard. The one thing I didn't hear you say was we've made a connection or reached out to the Surratt Society.
We have, excuse me, their activities will also be taking place. They have awareness that we are working to put some tours in place too from this side of the rivers. They're all originate in Maryland and come south.
Right.
And we're wanting to originate from this end and go north.
Okay, we just want them to come. I mean, they're in Maryland, of course, that's
Yes.
where Surratt's were. We would like them to come down and visit and stay for enough time to spend some money.
Absolutely. We want them to see this History Mobile. We want them in our museums, and we certainly want them in front of our cash registers. You
Okay,
bet.
that's what we want to make sure we connect with them and
Yes.
make sure their tour is well represented in the county. Bowling Green, they might want to see the Star Motel and all those other things, and
Yes, sir.
see wherever. I was laughing with Mr. Seeley, see the door hinge we've got from the barn.
Yes, sir. At the
Yeah, we
museum.
really do, or we think we do. Any questions for Mrs. Beard? All right, Mrs. Beard, thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Have at it. If you want to wait, we'll get to the consent agenda in a little while, and we'll go from there.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. All right, our next presentation will be the YMCA.
Good evening. My name is Lee Baisden, and I am the first president of the Board of Directors of the Y. Tonight, we're going to talk to you about giving you an update of the program offered and expanded community service plans and our future plans. On our agenda tonight, I will give you a brief introduction. Paul Gehring will give you a program update. We have Y members here who are going to give you what the impact of the Y is on their personal lives. And finally, I'll give you a little summary. I must point out to you that the building located in Library Drive is not the heart and soul of the Y. It is just a building. The heart and soul of the Y consists of our employees and our volunteers, who support the myriad of programs that service Caroline County citizens. Our efforts started in a storefront next to the Food Lion 2 years ago, where our focus was on building our membership list. We were able to run very successful food drives and Toys for Tot program for our community, which was recognized both you at the Board of Supervisors and at social service level. Our new facility is now fully staffed with more than 110 full-time and part-time employees, along with an ever-increasing number of volunteers. We are, in fact, the employer of choice, offering our employees a first-class safe working environment, an interesting variety of tasks, training, along with a great benefits package. The majority of our employees are from Caroline County community, where we pay taxes, eat in local restaurants, shop in local grocery stores, and our children attend local schools. Through our voluntary board of directors are people of high integrity and are not strangers in any way to you, as we serve throughout the county as educators, business leaders, veterans, church members, but more importantly, we are woven into the fabric of Caroline County society. Today, in a few short months of the building being opened, our program focuses on changes that will include one of the major participants in a complex program to benefit the community to meet the needs of all citizens. We believe that by working together to invest our kids, our health, and our neighbors, we can address three major issues: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. It is my great pleasure to introduce the man standing next to me as Paul Gearing, our new Executive Director, who will speak on our upscale efforts. Paul is a Naval Academy graduate, is a career Marine pilot, and comes to us with 11 years' experience as the first director of the Spotsylvania Y. Paul?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I want to thank you for allowing us to come here and give you a report on the Carolina Family YMCA. As Mrs. Basin has said, I have been the Rappahannock Area YMCA for over 11 years, with just about all of it acting as the executive director for the Spotsylvania YMCA, now the Ron Roser Family YMCA. We opened its doors in 2003. I won't lie to you, I'll miss the Spotsylvania YMCA's family, its Y staff, Y members, and the Y volunteers and community partners. I look forward to this new chapter in my career and to getting acquainted with my new family in Caroline County. The Caroline Y has been open a little more than 4 months now, and I wanted to give you a report on the impact that we have made so far. I can tell you this: we have a wonderful, supportive, all-volunteer board of directors, and we have a committed YMCA staff who are dedicated to the YMCA's three focus areas of healthy living, youth development, and social responsibility. To date, we have approximately 883 members, and our growth is about 7% per month as we get into it right now. Family units is 68%, make up 68% of the total number. 28% is individual units, and 4% are student units. We have many programs we've already started. We have the after-school program at all 3 elementary schools. We did summer camp this year, preschool, swim lessons, gymnastics, basketball, and a couple other small programs for mentoring children. In total, we have had 366 children in our programs. As far as, we wouldn't be the YMCA if we didn't give away financial assistance. That's what makes the Y the Y. We don't turn away anybody for the ability to use the Y, for the ability to pay, whether it be for programs or for membership. To date, for membership, we have given away about $9,000 worth of financial aid for membership. We have given away approximately $7,000 financial aid for programs. And obviously, this is important because we want everybody to participate and have this Y experience. So total, to date, since we've been open, we've given away approximately $16,000 for membership and programs at the Y. I wanted to kind of give you some idea of some other things we've been participating in as far as for the social responsibility. We worked with the Caroline County Resource Center. We're partnering with the Caroline Social Services Food Bank. This summer we partnered with the Rappahannock Area Food Bank, and we supplied food for 62 campers on Fridays before they went home on the weekends, so they could have food for the weekends. that's open not only to Y members, but anybody in the community. We partner with the Outreach for New Life, which is young men at risk for drug-related and alcohol addiction. We partner with the Ladysmith Fire and Rescue Squads to include all the stations as program proceeds. We're going to add more to that, and I'll have someone come up and talk about that a little bit. We partner with the Caroline Court Service Unit. We have probation students to come do community service at the Y, and we help mentor them through that program. The Caroline Ministers Group are joining together to help the community. We partner with them. We've taken part in neighborhood celebrations since we've been open, and we're planning on participating in the Harvest Days coming up very soon. We'll play a major part in that with the children's activities. Very excited about that. We collected toys for Toys to the Tots program with toys for the kids in Caroline County, and we plan on doing that again this year. We supported and participated in the annual senior gala, and we also, the high school swimming program, we're hoping to get started this year. The high schools have already met with us, and we're trying to coordinate practice times with them for this year, and I think that's going to happen. We're excited about that. We're trying to start a church basketball league. We have a special needs programs for children and adults, and something dear to our heart for the whole Rappahannock area YMCA. As you all know, Durante Rollins, who was injured, broke his back this year in a car accident, and he was going to get ready to go to Ferrum College. So he's still in rehab for that. We've offered the services for the Y, gave him a free membership so he can continue with his rehab on that. We also donated for the whole Y all our weekend joining fees for July and August to go to him and his family to help support his rehab. To date, we gave him a check of $2,000, and we're hoping to match that as we get through the end of August. So I was very enthused about that program. At this time, I'd like to introduce a few people who use our Y and let them tell their very short personal YMCA story. Candy Cross.
Hi, I'm Candy Cross. Actually, I live in Hanover County, but come to the Caroline Y, play 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. Started out as just a place to go work out, and that didn't last long at all. I cannot say enough about the staff, the team that are in that building, and you're correct. It is a building, but those people inside that building are the heart and soul. Didn't take long before I was jumping up and down to volunteer, do anything I can do for the Caroline community. And while I was at it, went ahead and lost 50 pounds. So love it, can't say enough about it. Know anybody that has questions or concerns or kind of on the edge about joining, give them my phone number, tell them, give me a call. Love it.
Sean Daniels.
Good evening. My name is Sean Daniels. I've been part of Ladysmith Fire for 5+ years at this time. I was impacted by the Y, partly in participation in their fire rescue wellness and fitness program, their pilot program. We were provided with a personal trainer, nutritionist, and a meditation specialist towards the end. This program is like the first step towards a more healthy EMS system in Caroline, and I think it's a really good system that we should grow. I graduated at Bridgewater College with athletic training, sports medicine, bachelor's degree, and I believe that from all the information I got in college that this is a real good way to make our EMS system more efficient, safe, and more helpful to our community. Yeah.
Mary Andrews.
It's so good to see everybody tonight. I joined the Y several months ago so I could send my little grandson to the day camp, and he had such a good time, and the The camp counselors were just so good with him, and they were kind and just supportive of all the children. And then I started using the Y. I go to all of the different exercise programs in the gym, and they have a lovely warm water therapy pool. So you should all come. And the senior luncheon it's once a month, and it's a great opportunity to meet new people and to learn things. They always have a guest speaker that has very informative topics. Today we had something on massage therapy. We also had one on organically grown foods in the county. And it's just, there's something for everybody at the Y, and I am very happy that I joined. My whole family has joined, so thank you very much.
And that is just a few of the success stories so far at the Y. I can't obviously bring everybody in here to talk, but I promise you there's going to be many, many, many more throughout this year. And it's going to keep on growing and growing. Membership's going to grow, program participation's going to grow, and so will the success stories.
In conclusion, I would like to thank you very much for allowing us to come today to present the insights of the evolution of the Y programs, designed to promote and to support the entire Caroline County community. Our board of director and staff are all part of the community citizens as taxpayers and community volunteers as they work hard to help to ensure Caroline County moves forward to the future. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't have a question. I would just like to echo what's been said so far about the Y. I'm real honored because I was or have been asked to serve on the board of directors for the Y. And being here as a supervisor and also being on the board of directors as a Y, I can certainly see both sides of the issue. And I can tell you that things are just great where the Y is concerned. I was over there today, and I saw young people being taught to swim. I went into the exercise room, which I should have stayed a little longer, but I saw senior citizens on treadmills getting exercise. I talked to a young man, and I was just asking him, who he was, and he said, he told me his name, and he said he had graduated from Caroline High some years ago, and he said he was a senior now at Virginia Commonwealth University and is working part-time at the Y. So it's beneficial, and the stories go on and on, but it is quite beneficial, and I think it's just been a great asset to our county. And I would just like to thank all of those people who are working and continually making it a success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Ms. Black, did you have a question? Ms. Akers, no questions? Ms. Seeley? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. It seemed like a while I met with you and the foundation. It was the early part of July, wasn't it?
It was. Indeed.
Okay.
That's why we're here, at your suggestion.
And we didn't have a meeting until now, so it seemed like a long time. And I spoke to Ms. Moyer, and she is going to have the foundation come to us at a later date. But I think it was great for you to come and tell us all the programs that the Y does. And like Mr. Taylor, if it wasn't for genetics, I would have to go to the exercise much more often. But I thank my grandparents for their genetics, and it comes natural, so I don't have to do anything. But we do appreciate all the things you do, and maybe that warm pool is not a bad idea. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you for your kind words.
All right, we'll move to agenda item 2, appointments. We have a rec advisory from Port Royal and Planning Commission Madison. Mr. Taylor?
I will definitely have it next time.
Okay. That's fine, no problem. Mr. Akers?
I do. First of all, I'd like to ask the board to agree to a resolution recognizing Pete Davis and his many years as a Planning Commission member. And he served pretty much the entire time as chairman of that group, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 years. Pete has taken a job
Out of the
in
country.
Belize,
Yeah.
of all places. And I'm not sure why he'd want to go there with the nice weather and beautiful waters and what have you. But anyway, he's taking a job there, and certainly wish him the very best. But I've asked, and Mr. Charles Shoebridge has agreed to serve on the Planning Commission representing the Madison District. I am confident that he'll do a great job for us, as the past Madison District planning members have done. So I would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Charles Shoebridge to the Madison District position on the Planning Commission.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Akers to appoint Mr. Charles Shoebridge. Now, he's actually filling the term of Pete Davis.
He is his
So
term.
he's-
And by the way, Mr. Shoebridge is right down the front row there. Well, third row.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and he'll
Yes,
be,
he's
he'll be
filling the
filling the
back
term,
row.
and then after that term expires, you can appoint him again.
Yes.
The motion was seconded by Mr. Seeley. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, Mr. Akers, and Mr. Taylor, you have yours next, sometime next month. We got two meetings in September. We're going to do consent agenda. You're going to be in the bill? We're just going to do consent? Okay. Anybody like to pull anything off the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, sure.
I'd like to pull letters G, H, and I, please.
G, H, and I for
Yes.
further discussion?
Yes.
Mr.
And
Seeley?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull K and L.
K and L for further discussion. All righty, we have A through F and J. Nobody wanted to pull J off.
I'll talk to the sheriff's office.
Where's Ted? Oh, okay. Well, actually, I thought somebody would
You
figure
want to
out.
pull J?
No, I'm just going to explain J for somebody who doesn't see, but the Radio Communications of Virginia purchase agreement, even though we just spent $6 million on a radio system for the sheriff's office and school and fire and rescue, this particular agenda item is more for the electronics that go on the sheriff vehicle. So although it says communications, it's not radios. And that's what Mr. Lambert's just explained. So we'll need a motion to approve A through F and J right now.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. So Mr. Black wants to pull G, more explanation on the purchasing card policies. Mr. Cully, are you going to defer to Mrs. Hatcher? Okay.
I guess my concern, and I've heard this is from multiple people, that this is an easier system to go with. Take counties like that are comparable to us, not supposed to be in Hanover, but Orange, King George. Do like counties like us have this system in place?
I know the system that we're putting in place, which is through Bank of America, is in New Kent County, Dinwiddie County, York County, and I don't know it. I can get you a whole list of who all's on it. A lot of the jurisdictions are going to a P card policy. It's just easier to manage. There's more controls, and it's more efficient.
Okay.
What's the real difference between that and the credit card?
Currently, the credit card, when you're on a P card policy, the Bank of America card, which is what we're through, is under state contract. So we went through them. We have a credit line of $500,000. On our current credit cards, each credit card of the old system had a limit. The problem with it is the fact we only had a certain number of cards. So if multiple departments were using cards, we constantly had to call the bank to find out what the balance is, see if we had enough cards to go around, and it just wasn't efficient.
So this system will allow you to better calculate and account for all the expenditures.
Yes, sir.
Even beyond that, there are issues with just having a lot of cards out there or not having enough cards. Fire and Rescue had real problems with, needing to purchase something right away, type of purchase, but not having a card or having to find the chief to get a card to them or somebody, some officer to get a card to them to buy something. He can explain it in more detail, but he's been sort of the driving force to try to improve what's called small purchases. These are not big purchases, but there's certainly small purchases. And there's just been lots of issues working with regular Visa cards or MasterCards as opposed to procurement, which then will come back to the supervisors to review those things. You'll know who's made the purchase because that card's got your name on it. You don't have to share a card with 6 other firemen. And then the accountability, well, did you do that? No, I didn't. Who did what? It's a lot tougher.
So Chief Loftus has the leeway to decide who the cards go to, so Chief Loftus gets, or any department head gets the cards, and then they disseminate them to whoever they want? Or
all the departments have already given me the list of names of who gets cards. Certain departments only wanted a card, so they got their card in the department name so that they can use it. Those are small departments. The rest of them, they established, the department heads told me who were getting cards, what the name on the card was going to be, and what their single transaction and monthly limit was to be.
Now, on the warrants for this month, I talked to Mr. Colley and Mr. Partner on several expenses in several different departments. It says Visa, and it'll say like $364. I'm just giving an example. And so is this? I mean, I have no idea when I look at those warrants right now what the $364 is spent on. So is the card system now going to tell me that if the fire department needs whatever they need for that same amount, it's going to say the employee that purchased it and what was purchased?
It will not say the employee. I mean, you all will never see that information unless you ask for it.
You can get it.
You can get it, but it's on your...
right out.
The Bright system isn't going to print it out. This is through what they call the works, when I can actually download it into the Bright system. So instead of seeing Visa, 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 you'll see G&G, A&M, whatever. All the companies will actually be listed rather than Visa.
Well, we see that right now in some, and then others we just say Visa. It just depends on
I only have Visa cards right now.
Yeah, when we pay it to Visa, the vendor listed is Visa. So that's always Visa. You might see a description in the description field, but what we're saying now is with the new system, you'll see
the actual
purchase.
vendor.
You won't really realize it's been on the P card. That'll be handled in the office. It's approved by the department head before it comes to finance to pay. And we can give you a printout of every purchase and who made the purchase.
It will be included in your warrant list. You just won't realize it's P card versus a check.
And every department's getting training on these, I take it.
Some more than others.
Right.
Oh, training? Yeah, everybody will get training.
Everybody has to be trained on it.
Sign for it.
Every card holder has to sign a cardholder agreement.
Okay. Thank you.
We really do believe it's going to be a much better system than what we currently use.
Okay. Last question on that. The policy we have on our packets marked draft, is that the final policy?
If you would like to make changes, that's why it's here in draft form.
Okay. Any changes while we're on this particular? Okay. All right, we're going to take the policy as is, which is in your packet or in your computer. Okay. Satisfied with G? You have H also?
Yeah, I just had a question on, where are these two properties located?
Voting district or?
Voting, yes, the voting district.
One is in Mattapan, one is in Bowling Green.
They're both in Mattapan.
No, the other one is yours. I just lost
Am I
it
wrong,
again.
Mr. Fincham?
I believe it's Mattapan, yes, sir.
I believe they both are.
301 is the,
What's Antioch Road?
that would be Milford,
Yeah, Antioch.
right down from the properties that no longer have structures on them.
Okay.
And I guess,
But White Meadows was the one, well, both of these used to be in the Bowling Green district. They were.
Yes, at one time,
One
prior
time,
to the
that's-
last.
And now that they're in the Mattapan district, I got to take care of them.
well, we weren't doing property maintenance, which takes me to my next issue, because I thought I had two properties
Well, yeah, that's
also.
Those are still working their way through the process, Mr. Seeley. We've not forgotten them. They are
Okay.
in process.
Because we talked about all of them at the same time.
Yes.
So I guess I was curious how we were to two and not all six.
These are new requests in addition to the ones the board has previously discussed.
So yours
One is abutting a parcel that the board previously authorized action. The second one is a property that we had to do go in and cut the grass last year as well.
Right.
So these are two additional requests.
that go on the other six?
Yes, sir.
Or, actually, I didn't have any on the other ones. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you did. I was going to say, we just tore them down.
Yeah, I'm not really finished, but never mind. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're adding these to the others.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, can you keep us updated on, because there's 6 different districts, and my concern is here, I mean, the whole county, I have no doubt there's several in Western Carolina as well, or they're in Bowling Green, or in, Port Royal, or Madison. So can you just keep us?
I can generate the list
I mean,
for you of the active complaints that we have related to property maintenance. Yes, sir. I'll forward you a copy of that.
Is that something you can keep us, updated every couple months on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So you're, okay, and since we're on the subject, the cars at Nelson Hill Road,
Yes, sir.
that's on the previous one we did, right?
That is on the previous list. County attorney is working on the notice for the court to hear that case.
Okay. Yeah, some are a bit more serious, so one is a cutting grass and one is like a health issue. Okay. All right, Mr. Black, you're okay with H now?
Yes.
Can I add a couple more while we're here? Never mind. All right, I was also yours.
I had talked to Chief Loftus about this actually earlier.
You good, or?
Yeah, no, I just had a quick question. We had talked about these defibrillators are for your ambulances, correct?
That's
These ones
correct.
on the grant. Can we get a list of the ones that are in buildings around the county and the schools as to what shape they're into as far as, I mean, I understand the ambulances are number one, but it would be nice to see, how old is the one in the high school, how old is the one in here, or?
Okay, I can email that list to you.
I would appreciate it. That's all I really needed. Thank you.
Excellent.
Chief, can you send that to all of us?
I'll
Or
send it to
Mr. Cully? I think, because in my discussion with Mr. Parton on the agenda, these are 11 years old or 10 years old, something like that. And maybe we need a regular refresh schedule.
We tried to put it in the CIP.
You did?
Yes, sir.
It didn't make it past 10, because I don't remember seeing it.
To buy one a year, that would put us on a 10-year or 11-year schedule for replacement. So
Okay, but
that's what we'd like to try to do.
How much does one cost?
$26,000. These are the regular panel
jobs
like you
Right.
see on. Yeah, these are go in the back of the ambulance. They do more than just defibrillate. They monitor blood pressure, they monitor your PO2.
But that's not the one you have in the school.
No. The ones we have in the schools are about $2,700.
Okay.
Yep.
2,600, 27, okay. Because I'd really feel bad if somebody said clear and nothing happened. So we need to make sure those are all up to date, and if, in response to Mr. Black, if you're going to get us a list now, we may want to consider replacing those sooner rather than later.
Yes, sir, we can get to that for you. And just one other note, we do, as a department, check those every year and update the software. So they're all current, the batteries are all good, the pads get replaced each year. Our staff goes to each one, but I'll check on the year for the age.
Okay.
Thank
Just to make sure, I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. And thanks for catching that, Mr. Black. Mr. Seeley, you have K.
Item K. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is, and this goes back some time ago, that, Mrs. Beard, the county fair was actually looking to have the Historymobile come, and I guess the discussion I'd had that it was event that they backed out because they thought it was going to Port Royal for the 150th anniversary. And now I see in the application that we're actually going to put this at the visitor center. And I think the ability to move folks from Port Royal to the visitor center is going to be really tough. And we only overlap one school day, which will be Friday, and I believe that's the day they set up. So we potentially have more visibility with this in Port Royal than we will at the Visitor Center. So those are my list of questions to start.
Certainly, Mr. Seeley, thank you. The opportunity to have it at the Visitor Center on the 50,000-foot level gives us the opportunity to bracket the entire county. Utilizing the Visitor Center location right there at the exit 104, we'll be able to allow easy access to the public, to our customer, to the project. Number two would be the access of public facilities. There will be an awful lot of generation of public facilities necessary to work with the History Mobile. And in their actual application, they do require that there are public bathrooms available not only for the staff, but also for the participants. The third thing is, in order to have it for the entire project, our tentative applications is that they would arrive on Thursday evening and be ready to go by 10 o'clock Friday morning. It would take a lot of orchestration in order to have students on school buses be able to come in that Friday, but also then there would be opportunity for families to come in on Saturday and Sunday, as well as the Friday. So the coordination effort of the school children to the Visitor Center will allow them to pull in the parking lot, disembark, the buses to stay, having facilities, having chances and opportunities to, for the children to be well managed while they're waiting to go through the facility. We really need the support that the Visitor Center offers in order to have an opportunity to compete for the application process for the History Mobile. The deadline is September 5th, and there will be an awful lot of communities that are involved with the project. It's possible that we could get it for one day if we put it in Port Royal. I do believe at that point then we've housed everything there, cutting off Bowling Green, cutting off other businesses along the corridor, and that by offering this strategy, we can leave it for 3 days and be able to move people all the way from the Visitor Center through Bowling Green and the Arts Center and into Port Royal.
My experience in doing this over a lot of years is drawing people who are on the booth tour all the way to even Bowling Green's been difficult. And what I'd like to do is at least capture them at one location, which is potentially Port Royal, moving them all the way, because the folks that come down from Maryland, as you know, are on a very specific tour. And I've spoken with AP Hill. They are working to partner with us to actually have the site available to us for those 3 or 4 days. I think the Surratt Society is probably going to capitalize or try to capitalize on that, and they will turn around at that very location and head north again. I mean, that's been their history in the past. They rarely come all the way to Bowling Green and stay. I guess my other concern is in the application we didn't allow for what it was going to cost to do this. Do we have a rough idea? Because we have to put up 4 folks someplace for the duration that they're here.
That's right. What will have to happen is that we will submit our application. If our application is approved, then they will send us the host agreement. The host agreement will include probably hotel rooms for 3 nights for 4 people. Those we can make arrangements. We will have to pay something. There will be additional kinds of things that we may need to do, but the host agreement only takes place after the application is accepted.
So that we didn't really talk about putting this in Port Royal, which is where I think we could capitalize.
Yes, there was discussion that, I certainly talked about it being in effect with the Port Royal project, not ever in the town itself of Port Royal, due to facilities, due to location where to park it, due to parking around the History Mobile that's required. The town proper itself of Port Royal, in my belief, does not really lend itself for the kind of activity that that the History Mobile will generate.
Okay.
There's no place to park it and have people come see it.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Seeley also pulled,
Thank you.
or asked item L. Mr. Fincham, before he does that, or Mr. Fincham, I guess you're going to come. But before he does that, Mr. Culley, and now that the county attorney's here, it just seems like this whole thing is an extra step to me. We are actually providing, well, the town is providing water to townhouses on the other side of Food Line, which are in the county. They're already doing that. Now we have the town proposing to provide water to a person who owns a few parcels right next to those townhouses. And it seems like, for me, if I were looking at it from the outside, it seems like we're now doing an extra government step and kind of slowing down everything. And we didn't update the comprehensive plan to run water for those townhouses, but now when the second option comes, we need to update the plan on the second one. It just seems a little silly. I know we're going to go ahead and do it, but again, did I say it seems a little silly? So,
Yes, sir.
Is that because our hands are tied and it has to be that way? Or there's a rule or a law or something that says we have to do that, or we just want to make sure it's clean?
Yes. The comprehensive plan and the state code speak to the extension of public utilities. And it says that those utilities should be consistent with the comprehensive plan. There are a number of cases throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia where utilities were extended where local governments did not want those utilities to be extended. Prince William County Service Authority some years back looked at extending utilities where Prince William County did not want those utilities to be extended.
Okay.
So the idea is that the utilities are governed by the comprehensive plan to ensure that, in this case, the Board of Supervisors supports the extension of those utility services, and that they are not extended into areas where you as a board do not want those utilities to go. The Bowling Green sub-area plan spoke to identifying a service area between the county and the town as to where town utilities would be appropriate versus county utilities. That has not yet been done, and that's what this proposed amendment would do. And as written, we've crafted it fairly narrowly to identify two options within a specific area for the board's consideration.
Okay. And I wanted to make sure that was clear, and I appreciate staff's desire to have things done correctly. Sometimes we want to just have things done, and sometimes we need to have them done correctly. So thank you for that, Mr. Fincham. Mr. Seeley's question is about the size of the comprehensive area, though.
It was funny, this was on the consent agenda, and we were presented two options. And rather than have the Planning Commission work on two options and have all kinds of comments, I was just curious if we could narrow this down to option one so that everybody was clear on what we were doing and where we were going.
Yes, sir.
Rather than the two options, and then there's discussion of it should go here, it should go there. Can we cut out this? Can we cut out that? Can we add this? So my interest in this, since this has traditionally been what I thought was already in the comprehensive plan, was narrowing this down to just option one.
Right.
Yes, sir. That's fine.
That's the smaller of the two, which covers the parcels that are in question. And it also, just for county understanding, there is no impact to the county at all because there are no businesses involved, there's no taxes the county's going to lose. And this particular location is 10 miles from the nearest county water line. So the odds on us extending county water there are kind of slim anyhow.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, we're going to go with option one as part of L.
And I think I'll make a motion for item L. I make a motion, we propose amendments to the comprehensive plan to allow the town of Bowling Green to provide utility services outside the town limits as outlined in option 1 from staff.
And part of your motion, approve agenda items G, H, I, and K.
And I will G, H, I, and K.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. That takes care of the consent agenda. At 7:30, we're supposed to do public comments, and then public hearing, but if you'll give us a 10-minute break, we'll be right back after that, and we'll go from there. So we'll take a 10-minute break. We are going to resume. At this time, we'll do public comment. At this point in time, we allow any citizen who would like to address the board on any subject that's not a public hearing to feel free to come to the board and make a presentation for 3 minutes. So at this time, I will open the public comment section for anyone who would like to speak to the board. Please make your way forward. State your name and your voting district when you can. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's great to see all of you again. Mark Farrow with Madison. I miss all of you. I came tonight, Supervisor Akers. I know you said that I could send my letter of resignation in for the Recreational Advisory Committee Board. But I wanted to come in person out of respect to the board and to you, and thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Recreational Advisory Committee. It's been a great experience. We've benefited. He's been through karate, clinics, camps. He's doing soccer this year, football. But the other half would like to see me resign from a few of the 9 boards that I'm on, and so she gets what she wants, and I get to spend more time with him on the field. So I'm here tonight to thank you once again and to officially turn in my letter of resignation. So. And keep up the great work, because, I mean, it's a great benefit. We've lived in other cities, other states, other counties, and, I mean, the benefit that we get for the amount of money is incredible. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. $35 for, how many weeks is it for karate? Like, I don't know, 16, 12 weeks. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Right. But anyway, just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you, Mark, for serving. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Thanks for your service, Mark. Is there anyone else who would like to speak as part of the public comment section? Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll declare public comment closed and move to our one and only public hearing. This public hearing is a proposed ordinance amendment to change the Port Royal polling precinct from the volunteer fire department to the Port Royal Town Hall. I believe that's all the introduction we need. Electoral board members are here. If you'd like to say something before the public hearing, or if you'd like to say something after the public hearing, I don't think there'll be a lot of questions, but. Okay, thank you very much then. And that note, I will declare the public hearing to be open for the proposed change from the fire department to the town hall in Port Royal. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding this matter? Is there anyone who would like to speak? Hearing none, public hearing is declared closed. Our action would be to approve the ordinance amendment. Mr. Taylor, since it's Port Royal, I'll give you that pleasure.
Certainly, I would certainly do that. The only thing I would like to do just before we do that, if I could ask them to briefly just state how we're going to let voters know of the change. I know this, but I just wanted to state it for the record.
And while you're here, excuse me, while you're here, why don't you introduce all the members of the electoral board, since this is broadcast on TV and some folks may not know.
Okay. We have Cheryl Johnson, our secretary, and Carol Keel, our newest member, and myself, John Nunley, chairman.
Thank you, sir.
We have strategically done this so with the changing of the boundaries with the town, every voter in that precinct will get a new voter card. So we've done this so that we only have to do this once. So they will be notified by having a new voter card.
And I was aware of that. I just basically know that this is televised and just another means of getting the information
Yes, sir.
out to the people. So
No,
thank you
that's
so
very
much
good.
for what you all do.
Yes, sir.
Having said that, I would move that we approve the proposed change as presented.
Is there a second?
If I can get a second.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Akers. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all very much.
You can start sending out the voter cards.
It's on the way.
All right. Okay, unfinished business, agenda item F, which was deferred at the request of the applicant. This was Mr. Seeley's district. He has asked, and Mr. Fincham has asked, what day would the board like to have this in September? Mr. Seeley, your call.
How about the second meeting in September?
Okay. We'll inform Mr. Fincham. We'll move this to our second meeting in September. Or Mr. Parton's got it, yes. An unfinished business, the rezoning R7 2013, Mr. Dillon, Mr. Fincham's here. I just spoke to Mr. Dillon, and I didn't see, I missed it. I thought we didn't have all the information. He has all the information. I would just like to talk to him, so I've asked if I could defer that till our first meeting in September.
You need a motion.
I'll take a motion if you'd like.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we defer RZ 07 2013 Dillon Hardip until the first meeting in September.
Yep.
Second?
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously. And thank you for your patience, Mr. Dillon. I know you've waited a long time. Agenda item number 7, I believe is the chief. Cost estimate on the use of the surplus school radio tower by Fire and Rescue.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Back in May, the board asked us to look at possible uses of the surplus radio tower that the school was getting rid of. Staff has researched those and given us 2 main options to look at. One of those would be a portable tower system that could be deployed anywhere in the county that we needed additional communications, generally post an emergency event when our regular communication system would go down. And that you have before you is option 1. That would be a custom-made option on a custom-made trailer, and that's why you see the cost of that as being where it is. Option 2 would be to place that tower at Ladysmith Fire Department. We talked to them about doing some in-kind work to place that tower at that facility. But again, the cost of doing that, the cost of putting the antennas and the radios on that tower, again, are fairly high. It is my recommendation to the board that based on those costs and the potential use of that tower, which would be extremely rare in both cases, that wouldn't justify spending that kind of money for that project. So, questions?
That's it. Any questions, Chief? That's really all I wanted to know.
Okay.
I didn't like the idea of just giving away a resource, even though it belonged to the schools. If there is no need for the county, and this was the step we made sure that the county couldn't use it, or it was too cost effective, or wasn't cost effective, we'll return it to the schools, let them sell it, and they can take the profit or whatever from it.
Sir.
Okay? Any questions from the board?
None at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd just like to, and not to say it's anybody's fault or anything went wrong, but I think we need to check these kind of things beforehand, so we don't get involved in the last minute. But if the schools are throwing away anything, we need to ask if the county can use it, and maybe vice versa. I don't think you have a lot of things that you're going to throw away, but I mean, in general.
What's
that? We didn't know anything that.
We didn't know. We didn't.
Right. And I'm just saying that's the communication we need to make sure, because it could have been something really valuable that we just let, a private citizen have or buy when the county could have used it. So We're fine. I guess since we're actually going to return it to the schools, we need a motion to return it to the schools and let them sell it. So that would be to return it to the schools and let them sell it. So that would be the motion.
I make a motion that we return the surplus school radio tower back to the school division to be surplused.
Second.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Seeley, seconded by Mr. Akers. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 8, we wanted to talk about the proposed policy on publication of delinquent personal property taxpayer list. Mr. Cully, did you have a recommendation, or you are letting the board do it? I know Mrs. Kern is here, but we're pretty much waiting. Mr. Black?
I was just saying that the board should make the decision.
Yeah, but I was
Okay.
asking if there was a staff recommendation
Okay, thank you.
before we got to that. So what is your opinion?
First of all, I see in here, I thought it was over $30, Ms. Curran. Is it 20 or 30? Because I thought last time, maybe I'm mistaken, I thought it was anything over $30 you could print. Now I'm seeing 20, maybe.
The code section for publishing is, it can't be less than $20 is the code section as far as the tax amount due. So, I mean, but the board could decide to, raise that. It's just that legally you can't publish anything less than $20 in tax.
Okay. I thought it had been 30, but that's not a big deal. Okay, thank you.
I would also recommend that if you do publish it, you allow us to publish it on the website as well. I think
Well,
it's cost effective.
That's the one that won't cost anything, basically.
Right, very cost effective.
You know,
I'm not saying in place of, but just
in addition to. Okay. Well, what's the board desire on this? We discussed it. Ms. Curran has put a couple of things in. Top 100 would cover everybody up to 1,700. The top 200 goes down to 1,000. She also says that some publish the top 40.
Mr. Chairman, I mean, and this is just my own personal opinion, I think you got to print them all. I think it sends a message loud and clear that if we're owed $1.9 million, paying your taxes is not an option. It's not an option. You got to do it. It's a responsibility. And if it was a business, any business would go after them. So I mean, I think you go ahead, and I think it'll benefit us. I think you go ahead and publish them all.
Okay.
Up to minus the 20. I mean, she is, from what it sounds like the last time, she's given them ample warning. She showed us an example of a bill that says you're subject to being printed.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, you have an opinion?
I will go along with whatever the majority of the board says.
Ms. Akers?
I liked, because Mrs. Kern has put in her letter, some possibilities. As you said, the top 100, top 200. And the way I read your letter, Mrs. Kern, you're saying that because we went through the list, and we know that a number of the people that owes large amounts of money are no longer in business. So that money, at some point, just has to be written off because they're no longer in business, they filed bankruptcy or what have you, and we didn't get in line to get our share of whatever they had, if they had anything. I just wonder how much, and are you saying that the $1.6 million that's owed, you've taken all of those amounts out of that total?
How do you collect from deceased taxpayers?
In fact, that's what you're saying. You said it's not including.
The 1.6 does not include the bankruptcies or those folks that we know, and have coded as deceased. And it doesn't include those folks that have a signed formal payment arrangement. If it's like a business that's out of, they were a corporation, they were LLC, there were no assets when they closed the doors, those are still in that 1.6 because we don't have the right to write it off until it's more than 5 years old.
Right. I'm just wondering how much of this 1.6 those people make up. You know, I understand the fact that, and the need to send a message, and I'm all for sending a message. But it's not going to be cheap publishing these individuals and these names in the Freelance Star and in the Carolina Progress, and there's a new newspaper online. And so I just think we have to look at it. I know when I worked for the state, we would spend $10 to find one penny if that was an error in the accounting process. Now, what sense that made, I don't know. But I guess it's sending a message that we're willing to pay $10 to collect one penny from you, or 5 cents from you. And I didn't see the sense in that. But that was a policy, and that's what we had to do.
I mean, if the board wants to move forward with publishing the list in the newspaper, I think maybe we should let us prepare the list, submit it to the newspaper, and see how many pages it's going to be, because it's 4,000 names with the years they owe, the names, and the amounts. So, I mean, it's going to be, I don't think you can fit that all on one page.
And it may not be a bad idea to look at maybe the top 100 or the top 200 to see what response you get, to see how well people respond to that. Nobody wants to see their name in the paper saying you owe taxes, I don't guess. They do, or they'd rather not. But I just think that maybe instead of going full force to begin with, we start out with something less than full force, and if that's successful, then hey, you move it up to maybe 200 or 300 until you get them all that have been paid. That's my thought process.
Mr. Seeley?
The top 200 would take us down to what dollar amount?
They would owe tax of $1,000.
Any idea what the top 500 would take us to?
I don't. I would have to take a look at that.
Because I think even if you buy a half a page, it's going to be columns of people in alphabetical order. A lot of names will fit. I mean, we do the graduating class of 300 on less than a page.
But you got to put the year that they owe.
Yeah, but it's two, one narrow column, one wide column, and you've got, if you had a half a page.
Don't you have to put each year as to
I was
what they
putting the
owe?
years in there. I don't guess, I mean, like whether you have to publish the years. I mean, other localities do. They publish the years that they owe and the amount and their name.
Yeah, the years need to go.
If you're going to make an impact, you have to let them know that you're 10 years or 5 years or whatever it is.
But, I mean, if there are, what do we say, 1,400?
There's 1,400, I think it's 1,450 that owe $100 in tax and less out of the 4,000.
So everybody else owes more than $100.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd like to see us more than 200. I'd like to see the top 500, and I think it's a good idea. Send over what 500 would look like to the papers and see how much space that takes up.
Okay.
Because I do think that a lot of folks are paying their taxes, and I was pretty shocked to learn that it takes us 3 years to actually get the full real estate tax from everybody in the county, because the delinquents stay delinquent as long as they can. And I think that puts an undue burden on everybody else that pays their taxes. So I'd like to look at, I'm all for the mock-up. Let's see where 500 takes us, what that line is.
Can we ask her to go through and pull out the people, the LLCs and people that have gone out of business that had no assets to draw from?
Well, that's
She's already done that.
That's going to be
Well,
more
no,
work.
we have not.
Okay.
She hasn't done that.
No, she hasn't done that.
See, and that's where we're spending $10 to collect a penny, because
Right.
we're going to stress their office out to reduce this list. You have the list already because you gave it to us on CDs. Or you
Right.
gave it to Mr. Cully, who gave it to us on CDs. So take that list, regardless of whether those companies are out of business, makes it easier to print, if that's what we decide to do.
Yeah, there's no point in going after somebody that we're never, I mean, if they're gone out of business, they're done.
Yeah, but well,
we may not know that either.
And Yeah.
We don't- you
There's
don't
no
know
way
that.
for us to, and we can go into the State Corporation Commission and see, but I mean, that's, the folks that are trying to do that and code all the accounts
we're
are
better
also
off
the same
publishing
ones
the
trying
name.
to collect it.
Mr.
We're
Chairman?
just better off publishing the name.
I guess my concern is this, is if you say, all right, let's say that there's, because I got the CD in front of me, I mean, how many, we got 4,000 accounts?
There's 4,000 now, once you
Yeah, I mean,
eliminate the payment
I tried
plans.
looking, I almost fell asleep, I mean, the names, you're going through all the names, it's insane how many names are on here. But if you go with 500, let's say the 500 cutoff point is $125, and then 501 is $124.99. How fair is it that the person who owes $125 name is printed, but the person who owes $124.99 is not, because there's a difference between 500 and 501 on the list?
But it doesn't mean it's not going to be printed. It just means it's not going to be printed this year, maybe printed next year.
No.
And
I
they
mean, to
have-
me, it's a discrimination. To me, you got to do all. You got to go all in. I mean, that's just my opinion. You got to go all in. And if there's $1.9 million that's owed, I mean, if there's $1.9 million that's owed, the cost to advertise in the paper, the freelance. I mean, what's the cost in the freelance star for a full page ad?
We have no idea. So, all right, let's do a couple of things first. One is, I think we all agree that before we publish however many names it is, we need to have Mrs. Kern figure out how much that's going to cost, maybe per page.
Okay.
So if it costs X number of dollars per page, then we can say, okay, at $500 a page, we want to do 5 pages, or we only want to do 3 pages, and we'll figure that out.
Well, they had sent us, and that's why I'd like to be able, and hopefully, I think the papers will work with us.
The mock-up
To
thing.
send them a list of names and see how much, we can get on a page. Because they did give us some prices per page, but I don't know how many names with the information that's required,
Okay.
will fit on a page.
All
right.
Do you remember, just out of curiosity, do you remember what they gave you for, let's say, the freelance? I mean, I'm just.
I want to say they're freelance, and they did call back and say that they would work with us if we were going to do an ad of this size. But I believe they quoted like $3,400.
A page.
That's it.
Okay.
That's not, yeah.
All right.
That's not that bad.
All right, I think we're kind of discussing it, and we're not really sure of all of the details. So, do we agree, first of all, that we want to publish some names? We all agree we want to publish some names?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we do want to publish some names. So now let's take the approach of saying, how many names can we fit on a page? How much is that page going to cost us? And then we will decide, based on those numbers, at our next board meeting, how many we're going to publish.
Okay.
Okay, is that fair?
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we will do.
Can-
That sounds like a compromise.
It-
It's such a bad word. All right, Mr. Black?
I'm gonna open this can of worms. Can we get the next list, which is the real estate?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I really do
Because it's
appreciate
just
this.
personal property.
I mean, these were personal property, but most of our income is not personal property. Most of our income is real estate.
Right.
And so is that a possibility?
That we can run the real estate list as well.
Okay. All right, that would be, because you can go on eTreasure, I was playing with the eTreasure, you can go on eTreasure and get the real estate anyway, so I mean,
Right, that is public information.
Right,
Can
okay.
you- So you can, okay, it is public information.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look on there and see anybody's.
Look on what now? What is it called?
eTreasure, it's on our county website.
You can look up anybody's
You paid your
anybody's
taxes?
real estate, what they pay. Kind of scary, but you can.
Most people tell you to pay too much.
So I just out of curiosity, how long would that take you to generate?
Could probably have it by the first of the week.
Wow, okay, that's great. If you could give it to Mr. Cully, would you mind?
The next real estate list?
Yes.
So you send it to Mr. Cully, same process?
That's when we-
Should be a little smoother now that we finally worked out all the kinks.
That's where you get.
Well, we'll have to make sure that the ones are coded, that, have pay agrees. I
Right.
will eliminate those.
And again, we're at least a month away from publishing any names, period, because we have to come back in a couple of weeks at our board meeting to decide, and then we'll probably give people a couple of weeks to make a payment plan so they get removed off the list, and then we'll publish.
I have the real estate ones that have, that we've already turned over to Sands Anderson for collection. Do you want those included, not included? They've already been turned over to be sold.
So what do you know about those? Just saying that. What do you know?
If they're still, I guess it would be if they're still legally in their name. You know, if
There's
it's still,
still-
if
you know,
if
there
it's
are
still
still
legally in that
delinquent
person's name, why not?
Just trying to make sure
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you want on the list.
I'm just, yeah, and I just have a quick question. In the bills that you sent, and I do appreciate, because the bill, as Mr. Akers had asked that last time, and you had already, you know, you had already put on the bills that you're subject to having your name printed. Have you seen a increase in?
I really have, I mean, we have had maybe one or two people say they didn't want their name in the paper. I mean, the bulk of the collections, I believe, are coming from, and some of them are coming from the notices we sent, but the majority of the payments coming from those notices are anywhere from $20 to $70, you know, seeing a couple of $100 in payments. A lot of it's coming from the employee liens that we're putting at the third-party liens against the wages of, you know, of the taxpayer, and DMV stops.
Okay.
So I don't know.
And just out of curiosity, on the real estate side of things, is it lien on the house the biggest, or the property the biggest weapon you have on the real estate side of things?
The real estate is less of a percentage. I mean, most of that is collected. We have a lot of it coming from the mortgage companies, but we don't, you know, that is the biggest amount of the tax. You mean as far as the uncollected?
Yeah, the uncollected. I mean, I guess like I'm saying, if I don't have a mortgage and it's not an escrow or whatever, and I just decide I don't want to pay Caroline County taxes.
She sells your house in 3 years.
Well,
She sells your house in 3 years, that's what happens. So there's no lien. If you go 3 years, she reports it to Sands Anderson, and then they sell your house to collect that tax debt.
Right.
So that's bigger than a lien.
Yeah, right, okay. I got you. All right.
Okay.
And we're getting 10% interest on that money.
Right, I got you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Kern. We're good. You're going to give us an idea what it costs at our next meeting, and we'll do you very early in the agenda. You can just say how much it costs per page, how many names fit on the page. Then we'll decide how many pages to publish from there and let you know through Mr. Cully. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, we have 2 VDOT detours, but I just thought the Comprehensive Service Act and the social services folks were sitting here just to watch the meeting, but you're on the agenda, so why don't we move you ahead some? And you're here to tell us why we need to have a full-time CSA coordinator.
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to introduce some people. You all know me as Ann Tyree, the Assistant Director of Social Services, but I am also the CSA Fiscal Agent, which is a county program, not a social services program. I have with me Pat Wright, who's chair of the CPMT team, which is the team which oversees CSA, and I have Wendy Sneed, our CSA coordinator. Since Mrs. Sneed came to work with us in January, we've seen some substantial savings to the program of over $80,000. She has also put some procedures in place to prevent some additional cost. I'd like to have Mrs. Sneed speak to you and just give you a little general overview of CSA, because I'm not sure everyone really understands what it is. I think you all know it's a very, very expensive program that for the past few years really has not been supervised by too much of anybody, but we're looking at $2.4 million in expenses for this past fiscal year, and I think it's critical that we really look at this program. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about what CSA is, and she can answer any of your questions about it.
Good evening. Comprehensive Services Act for At-Risk Youth and Families was a law enacted in 1993. This created a single pool of funding to purchase services. The funds came from Community Services Board, Court Services, Department of Social Services, Health Department, and public schools. We serve a mandated population that includes foster care prevention cases, and special education cases through the school. We have a team that meets monthly. It's the Family Assessment and Planning Team, otherwise known as FAPT, one of our many acronyms. Its membership consists of Community Service Board members, social services, public schools, court services, and a parent representative. We assess cases, we approve services according to the service plan that's presented and negotiated at the meeting, and then we will reassess those cases for progress. The Community Policy and Management team that Ann referred to, is our governing body. It has a membership that is the same as the FAPT, but it also includes a member from the Health Department and a private provider representative. This team also meets monthly and approves the funding and provides policy and guidance for the overall CSA program. As Ann stated, our fiscal year 2014 budget was almost $2.4 million. We serve 58 children, 24 in foster care, 5 in parental placements, which is a function of foster care, but it's in which parents retain custody and children are receiving residential treatment for their mental health needs. One case was for foster care prevention, and there were 28 children receiving special education special education services that we funded. I started in this part-time position in January. I've worked to empower these teams to really scrutinize the quality and quantity of the service that we're providing for these children. We've looked at maximizing our Title IV funding. This is federal funding that does not require a local match. We've worked towards determination of ineffective or inappropriate placements. We've worked to avoid state audit findings by following state CSA policy as well as our own local policy. Worked to challenge non-Medicaid funded residential placements, thereby lessening the local burden. We've worked to promote decreases in treatment foster care case management levels. These are for foster children whose needs rise above just being placed in a regular foster home. We pay for case management through a private agency, and that can cost anywhere from $67 to $136 per day. It's a calendar day. So it's important that these children work through the level system to come down so that they receive the appropriate level of service and we're not paying too much per day. We've worked to terminate duplicate services. We've worked to ensure appropriate placement documentation submitted for Medicaid payment of residential placements as well as treatment foster care placements. This can translate into up to $393.50 per day for a residential placement that state and local funds must pay instead of a straight Medicaid payment, which still has a local match, but it's much lower percentage. We've increased the parental co-payment scale so that it's now in line with the Rappahannock Area Community Services Board scale. And overall, I've worked very hard at ensuring that all of our children are receiving the appropriate services in the least restrictive environment and that we are good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. I would submit that the savings that we've realized through this appropriate monitoring and management will more than cover a full-time position for the CSA coordinator, and this will result in better outcomes for the children that we serve. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? You have a question, Mr.
Yes, I do. Okay, so what you are asking is to move from a part-time position to a full-time position?
Yes, we are requesting that it become, currently the position is 20 hours a week, and we would like it to become a full-time position, be it Mrs. Sneed or anybody else that's in that position. With the kind of staggering numbers we have, we feel that we have to have that full-time monitoring to get a grip on the spending and make sure that what we're doing is appropriate. Okay. One of the other things we didn't mention is the Office of Comprehensive Services will be doing an audit of Caroline County in the year 2015, and we really have to make sure our ducks in a row so that we don't face any kind of chargebacks to the county.
Okay. Do you have money in your budget to fund that?
We are requesting the $31,000 from the Board of Supervisors. We can, as long as the position falls under social services, we can claim some reimbursement for it, but very little. It's the percentage change. It's what's called pass-through funds. Currently, the reimbursement rate is 29%. It fluctuates from anywhere from 26 to 35%, and we're using the average of 29% because that's what it's been for the last 6 months.
And I don't have a problem with the position. I'm very familiar with FAP from being with the school system all those years, and I understand how the program works. And certainly I don't doubt that it's not a needed position. I guess I just want to make sure that the funds are going to be available to, to do that. You have a new director, is that right?
Yes.
But the director is not here tonight?
No, the CSA position actually does not fall under her. I am the direct supervisor of it, and then beyond me, it is the CPMT team. Because it really is a county position. It's not just a social services function. We're serving kids that are social services kids. The majority of the kids we are serving right now are special education students from the schools. We get some referrals from mental health and from the court service unit. The whole point of the CSA was to pool all of these agencies together for the at-risk children so that you would have the team approach to come up with the best recommendation for services. And then you have the financial oversight from the CPMT team, who also is responsible for recommending or approving policies and procedures for the locality.
Good, that's all I have.
Okay. No other questions? You brought Mrs. Richardson from the Social Services Board, did?
She is here for support, yes. This is Mrs. Jean Richardson, who is the Mattapanai Social Services Board representative.
How does she feel about this? Oh, she wants it to be full-time?
Yes.
Okay.
All of we did discuss it at our Social Services Board, and I believe all of the board members were in support of it.
Okay, and the net cost?
Mr. Seeley, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I took it to be that they all were very supportive of it.
Okay, and the net cost you gave to Mr. Taylor was $29,000 more?
$31,360.
$31,360.
But
Additional funds.
thus far, we have already found more savings than that. So
Okay.
it's not really costing you anything.
I've heard that before. It was on sale, so I
Well,
saved a lot of money. But
Seriously, Mr. Taylor, I'm sorry, Mr. Thomas.
Oh, you just lost my vote. Never mind.
You know,
What's next on the agenda? You can sit back down now. What's
But you know, I've been involved.
Keep talking, you can keep talking.
Seriously, I've been involved with the CSA since it first started. We started out with a budget of about $55,000.
Right.
You know, 10 years later, it jumped up to $190,000. And here we are, not 10 years later, over $2 million.
Mr.
And
Parton.
unfortunately, we can't make it go away. I wish I could say that, but we can make sure that we are controlling the growth and getting the best bang for our buck.
Right, and Mr. Parton had already informed us that you had saved $80,000. So now we're going to invest $31,000. I'm not sure this $80,000 saving is going to happen every year, but it's probably worth the investment. So, okay. Any other discussions? We would have to find that money from the unencumbered balance?
That is correct, but the administration, both Alan and I believe that this is an important position with the oversight that's needed, and if you kind of keep going through part-time people, you really lose that, and you could lose way more money than that $31,000 additional money each year.
And this is our third part-time person already?
Okay. So we really feel strongly it's an important position, should be full-time.
We felt that way, too. What's my name?
Gee, I forgot. Mr. Thomas.
Just say chairman and you're all set.
Discussion?
That's right.
Motion would be in order?
I so move the adoption of the proposed upgrade of the Comprehensive Services Act Coordinator to full-time status.
Okay, Mr. Thomas moves that it goes to full-time. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Call me Mr. Black.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't mistake your name again.
I'm the one with less hair. All right, we've got 9 and 10, and I think we've discussed these indirectly. Well, maybe not less hair anymore. 9 and 10, we've discussed these indirectly. Mr. Satterwhite from the school board came out and discussed these with Mr. Taylor and myself. Nelson Hill Road is in the Mattaponi district. Stonewall Jackson is in the Port Royal district. Both of these are VDOT detours that we feel will probably impact citizens adversely if we go with the full detour as opposed to closing one lane over the bridge while we repair it. I think in Mr. Taylor's case, a 20-mile detour for school buses is a bit ridiculous. And in Nelson Hill Road, they'd be going all the way around and through Milford each time, so that's probably not a good idea. So if there are no comments or differing opinions from the board, since this was just information we'll pass on to VDOT, that we would oppose these total closures and go with the longer single-lane closures. That's okay? Do you think I need a motion to that effect? All right. Mr. Taylor, would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I would so move that we oppose the closing of Route 722 in Nelson Road and Route 606 on Stonewall Jackson for the inconvenience that it would be to citizens.
Second.
Yeah, we oppose both of them. Okay.
Do they need to be?
Discussion. That's what she said. I ignored that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. We, Mr. Akers seconded it. We are, with all due respect to the county attorney, who we respect a lot, pay attention to, we're just voicing our opinion based on comments from, and include the comments from the school transportation coordinator. I was just kidding. I never ignored them. But we're both saying we oppose both of those. So, all right. G12, capital improvements project. And then closing board comments, and we're done. Till closed meeting.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we included the capital projects report. The first one of a little information summaries that you have. You can see that the radio system is now 61% complete. We have expended a fair amount of that money as we're getting the tower sites on. The school projects are now spending a little bit of money. The Bowling Green, of course, hasn't spent any, but still has $1 million left. Down on the utilities, most of those projects are complete, as you see, and those are the monies that are remaining. You have your ridership report from Fred, and your calendar, our next meeting being the 9th, which will be at a regular time, because our last two have both been
Back on schedule.
been early. And we have the groundbreaking for the high school, 10 a.m. on the 19th, 10 to 11 at the high school, and that's at State Fair at the end of the month.
We do have, we have 2 meetings before the state fair. We're going to add those other things.
The 50-mile meal is on at 4:30 on the second meeting on the 23rd.
23rd.
Right. So we'll have one meeting at a regular time.
Well, yes. Okay, and you mentioned the radio system was 60% complete?
60% paid out.
60% paid out.
Yeah, we approved.
Are we going to end up going into the, sorry, Mr.
We have to go into the spring to do the leaf test.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's no way we're going to get it done before leaf.
Right. It won't be totally accepted until at least the spring, but it will be functional.
It'll be operational.
Operational.
And we'll be using it?
Yeah.
Not completely, because it can't turn off the other system until acceptance, but they'll be able to be used for testing, that type of thing. But yeah, until we can kind of get through that.
We can't accept it without the leaf test.
I understand. I was just hoping we'd go through a little more use of it while it was still in that preliminary sort of mode.
I guess you can still use it in a test. It's like, when you have dual accounting systems, you go from another one, you use one for a while.
In theory, that is correct.
Ah,
But
it won't
according
be
to
installed.
Motorola is not going to turn it on for our use until they know it meets the standard by which the contract states. So we will not be able to use it ourselves. It will, as Mr. Cully said, be functional. Motorola may be doing some tests. They will have the radios in the trucks, but they will be taking away the microphone, so we cannot use that until they validate the numbers and it is turned over to us by contract.
Right. And I guess that's fair for them. Because if we start using it and it doesn't work, we'll have issues. Well, we're supposed to test it and make sure. But all right, the big key there I knew was we had to wait for the actual leaf test. Okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the wastewater treatment plant expansion.
Yes, sir.
Based on the numbers that we were given tonight in work session, the original contract was for $16,452, but with the change orders, it brought it to $16,963,000, but spent to date was $17,205.
That might be a Ms. Hatcher.
And I think I sent Mr. Shebel home because he wasn't feeling well.
He's been struggling.
There's some other, I know there was the contract, but there was some other expenses that were being paid. If you remember, we borrowed the money for the wastewater plant and Caroline Pines at the same time. It's in the same issue. And some of the monies that are left over from Caroline Pines are being used to pay for other things for the plant outside of the actual contract.
Yeah, I think that change order for the SCADA, when we brought that before y'all, we told you we were going to pay for that money out of savings we had on the water side, but I can go back and research that. Remember when we upgraded to all the well heads and all that stuff under the SCADA that was not in the original contract for the wastewater treatment plant?
We're showing $148,000 on change order number 4 on the information that was given to us today.
Right.
But that brought it to $16,963,000.
That's just the contract. There have been other expenses, other purchases to do with the expansion of the plant that are not just the construction contract.
Oh, yeah, we had to have a thing that's called a lull that moves the inside where the debris falls out of the screen and it's inside a building, so you couldn't get in it with a forklift. So we actually have that what's called a lull, which looks like a forklift but on a different truck. So we bought that. I think that was like $23,000 used to move that box because it has to come out of there and be emptied, that type of thing. And you couldn't get to it with a regular small forklift. So there's been some equipment purchases
Some
like
equipment,
that
some
along the way.
furnishings, that kind of thing.
Can you find out what that is? Because it's
I can give you,
$270,000
I have the list.
difference.
Yeah,
I can give you the list.
$270,000 a lot for a...
Did you say furniture?
Oh, no, it wasn't. That was like 23, I think.
Yeah. Well, the difference in 16.9 and 17.2 is...
Yeah.
There's also the work that was done on the road into the plant is out of there.
Right.
You can just send that to us just because we've got one thing, and we can't criticize anybody else for saying their numbers never match up if ours don't. So our numbers matched up in terms of the budget, but that overage isn't accounted for, and we just want to account for that. So if you can
That was a road.
get that to me.
I think what Mr. Shebel had in there was strictly
Strictly
the
plant.
NEB contract itself, not anything else. And there have been other costs outside the
The
contract.
driveway surface is in here, so there
Yeah.
are some of the things you mentioned in there.
Yeah, the soils,
Well, I don't have
backup,
that report, so I can't tell
driveway.
you.
That's okay. Mr. Cully's got it. The 16,936,070 matched up perfectly. But we spent more than that, so we just want to know what that other $270,000 was for. And you could let us know, or you could let Mr. Cully know, and he'll disseminate it to us.
I'll be glad to.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Taylor, closing board comments. Mr. Black? Mr. Akers?
No, sir.
Mr. Seeley?
No, sir.
And I have none. And we need a motion to go into closed session under Section 2.23711A5, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the businesses or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Akers, seconded by Mr. Taylor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Excuse me, all those opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. We will be in closed meeting. We will need a motion to come out of closed, excuse me. We will need a motion to come out of closed meeting first.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Akers to come out of closed meeting. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Taylor, do you certify that only those things we went into to discuss for closed meeting were discussed?
I so certify.
Mr. Black?
I so certify.
Mr. Akers?
I so certify.
Mr. Seeley?
I so certify.
And I so certify. There is no action from the closed meeting, so a motion to adjourn would please be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.